Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. There have been a couple major stories today and yesterday in the world of crypto, and Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse has chimed in. I'm going to share with you exactly what he had to say just this afternoon. Brand new stuff from him. Particularly on the topic of what would be a warning sign in a political sense, because things, they are obviously a-changing. And if you live in the United States and don't live under a rock, I'm sure you're well aware of that. Even if you're outside of the United States, the news is big enough. I wouldn't be surprised if it's reached you, let's say. But let me share with you a couple headlines before we break into this. Here's one from CoinDesk. Bitcoin traders brace for fat tails as focus shifts to Trump's Nashville Bitcoin conference speech. And so, for those of you who hadn't heard, former President Trump is going to be speaking as a headliner at the Bitcoin conference. Here you can see he's listed right here, along with other big names like RFK Jr., Michael Saylor, Kathy Wood. And there's been some speculating about major news breaking, which, if true, admittedly, would result in some crazy price jumps for Bitcoin, presumably, but I'm not saying I buy into this. But here's a headline from a local station, looks like in Nashville, where this is going to be. Trump expected to deliver potentially historic message at Nashville Bitcoin conference. And there's wild speculation. Again, I'm not saying I buy into this, but there's speculation that Trump is going to be for the idea of having Bitcoin as a reserve asset for the United States. Now, of course, that would be... It'd be hard to overstate the degree to which that would be gigantic news on a global scale, because obviously the dollar is a reserve asset. That's how we want it in the United States anyway, even though the dollar's broken and constantly getting debased and treated like crap. I understand all that. But if he made that announcement, I can only imagine. So again, I'm not saying I buy into it. I'm just sharing with you the headlines and what's being discussed. And then there's also this highlighting the partisanship or surrounding crypto, even though it shouldn't be partisan whatsoever. Look at this headline. Kamala Harris will not be speaking at Bitcoin Conference 2024. By the way, I also do have a perspective from attorney James Murphy. I'll share that a little bit later in the video, because he's opining on some of this stuff as well. Now, attorney James Murphy, he's actually working with John Deaton on his Senate candidacy. You'll recall that attorney John Deaton, of course, is running for Senate to oust Senator Elizabeth Warren. And I'll share with you also what attorney Murphy has to say. But before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. By the way, I'm just going to cover the intro of this article. It was written by Eleanor Tarrant and Charlie Gasparino. Fox Business is titled, Wyoming Senator Loomis Plans to Announce Legislation for Strategic Bitcoin Reserve at Nashville Conference. Okay, Senator Loomis, she is a Bitcoin maximalist. I am not a fan. Now, she may push for this. The idea that she would push for that, that's plausible. I could buy that. But that's very different than having President, well, in this case, former President Trump, announce that if he's elected, that's what he's going to... That would be a whole different story as far as I'm concerned. The idea that a senator who is a Bitcoin maximalist would push for this, that's not surprising. So check this out. As Donald Trump prepares to address an estimated 20,000 Bitcoin enthusiasts later this week in Nashville, Tennessee, the pro-crypto Republican Senator Cynthia Loomis of Wyoming is also looking to make some big news, preparing to announce she's crafting new legislation that could radically alter the burgeoning crypto business by firmly establishing Bitcoin as a mainstream financial asset, Fox Business has learned. According to 3 crypto executives with knowledge of the bill, Loomis has been quietly working to announce at the annual Bitcoin conference legislation that would require the Federal Reserve to hold some Bitcoin as a strategic reserve asset. Okay, I could imagine a Bitcoin maximalist who's a senator pushing for this, but she has been anti-XRP, she's been anti-altcoins. I am not a fan of this particular senator. It's the entire wrong attitude. Her approach that she's taken to crypto has been what I've been against since 2017. I hate maximalism. It is counterproductive. It will not prevail. There are too many coins that do different things for different people and businesses. Many are already sufficiently entrenched that they're clearly here to stay. Yet She, being a maximalist, wants to push for the one coin to rule them all because reasons. I hate maximalism. It's stupid. STOOPID. Stupid. And, of course, partisanship. Womp womp. Headline here, Kamala Harris will not be speaking at Bitcoin Conference 2024. Now, there are rumors swirling yesterday that she actually potentially would, because there was a post from David Bailey. He is the CEO of Bitcoin Magazine and also the Bitcoin Conference where Donald Trump is going to be speaking. So this was not just some sort of rumor. This is a firsthand account of, hey, we're actually potentially going to have Kamala Harris, who is now the front runner, is running for president of the November United States election here. There was a chance that she was going to be speaking. So here's what was posted yesterday before the decision was made. We're in talks with Kamala Harris campaign for her to speak at the conference. Would be very savvy of her to reset the Democrat positioning on the fastest growing voter bloc in the country. They're making up their minds today. Okay, and so would have been happy to see that. I don't care what anyone's politics are. This should not be partisan. You should see politicians on both the left and the right come together, hold hands, kumbaya, and say, yes, crypto makes sense, and we should do everything we can to have clear rules of the road, make everything safe, but clearly it's here to stay, and we all agree on that. That's what we should have. And I think we'll eventually get there, but it's lopsided. Broadly speaking, the Democrats, not pro-crypto, although there are exceptions, but the Republicans, very pro-crypto, with few exceptions. So would have been nice, given how negative the Biden administration has been over the years, how negative they've been against crypto. Would have been nice to see potentially a shift here, especially since she could be elected president. That's a real thing that could really happen. And so that was reposted by Tyler Winklevoss. Again, this is yesterday, and then we'll get to the stuff from today. He said, talk is cheap. She would need to start by immediately firing Gary Gensler, withdrawing all SEC enforcement actions against good actors, and ending Operation Choke Point 2.0. She won't do this, so she won't stand a chance in winning back the crypto voting bloc. Time for change. Right. Yeah, I'd be surprised if she did either, and you'll see when I get to Brad Garlinghouse's comment in just a minute or two here. Fine, he's being open-minded, but I see no, and in fact, without moves like this, getting rid of Kim Jong-Gensler, that's a very obvious one. I'm not taking it seriously, you know? And so the fact that she's not willing to speak at the Bitcoin conference, I mean, that's an opportunity to try and change some hearts and minds, don't you think? Because it's not just about the estimated 20,000 people attending. That's going to be widely covered by mainstream media as well as crypto media. That's something you should do. And Operation Choke Point 2.0, of course, that's the shutting down of the on-ramps and off-ramps of the crypto space. I mean, you're talking about, bank flows into cryptocurrency exchanges, so on and so forth, right? And it's more than that, but still. So then we got the word just this morning from David Bailey, nope, ain't happening. And he said, Kamala Harris will not be speaking at the Bitcoin conference. No surprise. What can she say to us when she's actively imprisoning developers, forcing our industry overseas, attacking proof of work? It would have been a disaster for her. All eyes on Trump now. And so I will say, and I have to highlight this, just to be intellectually honest here, that is very different than what he said just the day prior. He's like, it would have been a disaster. Of course she shouldn't talk there. But yesterday, again, look what he wrote right here. Would be savvy for her to reset the Democrat positioning on the fastest growing voter bloc in the country. So yesterday it was a good idea. She said she wasn't going to do it. And then today he's like, yeah, it would have been a bad idea anyway. All right. Sorry. I can't help but notice that. I simply can't help but notice that. But she absolutely should be doing things to change the tone. She absolutely should be. It doesn't make sense to be anti-crypto. I will continue to point out the obvious, which is that there is no anti-crypto voter bloc, but there is a pro-crypto voter bloc, and it's growing. Duh. So here is where we're about to jump into Brad Garlinghouse territory. There's this post from Justin Slaughter, who is the policy director at Paradigm, and he wrote the following. Harris has been the nominee for about 12 hours, and she's already making clear core Biden national security advisors won't be kept around for another term. No one in the Biden admin should be assumed to keep their jobs in a Harris administration. Odds of a significant reset are growing. Okay, I'm not going to opine on that, but you can ask the question here. If that's true, does that mean that there's a shift coming that will be good in the realm of crypto? Well, Brad Garlinghouse seems to be more open and optimistic than I am. I'll just say that at the outset here. But here's what Brad Garlinghouse wrote. Jumping to conclusions and assumptions about candidates purely based on political affiliation without any policy proposals is holding the crypto industry back, similar to how tribalism has for years. So I'll pause to say here, I think tribalism has been absolutely disgusting and terrible, and I push out against that. I am against maximalism for sure here. But it's not just about making an assumption purely about political affiliation. It's about real world statements or lack thereof as it pertains to crypto. So if we're talking about Kamala here, where's anything crypto? Where has she? And all that we know is that she's been complicit in an administration that has been anti-crypto. So it's not just about her political party, it's about that. So it is more than just the political affiliation, it's about that. She's not speaking out against it. And now, given that the Biden administration, we already now know since Biden's dropped out of the running for presidency, now we know it's going to be presumably Trump or Kamala, right? Well, she can shift tone then if she wants to. Where is it? I mean, here was a great first chance. So it's not just political affiliation. And Brad posted this afternoon, 2:57 p.m. Central Time. So she's not going to the conference. She has no interest in changing messaging. And messaging wouldn't even be enough in my estimation. We need to actually see something change here. So I do feel differently than Brad Garlinghouse. I just respectfully will note I feel differently on that. But he says also, Vice President Harris is no stranger to Silicon Valley and has an incredible opportunity to provide a reset on critical issues for U.S. competitiveness like crypto regulation. I'll keep an open mind for now, but also agree that if she uses the same Elizabeth Warren-like rhetoric, then she has miscalculated the political liability that is Gary Gensler. Okay, and so I like what he said at the end there. I can certainly agree with that. But again, there shouldn't be an absence of comment. All we have to go by is, I mean that speaks volumes in a way, I would still argue, but it's not just the political affiliation, it's everything else. So if she doesn't dial that back, the type of those other types of comments that we've seen primarily on the Democrat side, then what are we even doing here? There's really nothing to discuss at that point. Here's a post from Tyler Winklevoss this morning. And he said, the Democratic Party forced sitting President Joe Biden to drop out and United States Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheadle to resign within the span of 48 hours. There is absolutely no reason they can't force Gary Gensler to resign too. If they want to haul him in front of Congress on Monday to set the stage before doing so, great. But resignation papers in hand no later than Tuesday. If they don't do this, the crypto industry has its answer. Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen. I don't see that. I will be surprised. So good for Brad Garlinghouse, be open-minded. I respect it. I'm not feeling like there's a high probability that this is going to go well. Because even the Biden administration, they paid lip service to crypto since, I guess, about 2 months ago, right? But then they haven't changed anything. And she's part of the administration. I mean, so anyway. There's also this post from Tyler Winklevoss. The Biden-Harris administration wages all-out war on the crypto industry for 4 years. Despite all this, Kamala is still invited to the Bitcoin conference in Nashville and given a chance to speak to our industry and reset the relationship. What does she do? She declines. She can't even take the first step and show up to start mending fences. Our industry won't forget this. We will show no mercy in November. Okay, that line of thinking makes more sense to me than what Brad Garlinghouse stated. I respectfully state that everyone's entitled to their opinion. I don't think Brad Garlinghouse is off the rails by any means, and I appreciate that he certainly acknowledges, hey, okay, if we're going to see Elizabeth Warren type approach, then yeah, obviously not pro-crypto. Cool. But again, Tyler's hitting the nail on the head here when he's like, this is a golden opportunity to start, to do something. If you were genuine and you cared, you'd do it. And you can't make it, it's not some sort of scheduling conflict. Yesterday, they were like, yeah, maybe we'll do it. Okay, come on. They just didn't want to. There's also this, and so this news broke yesterday here. This is from Walter Bloomberg. Mark Cuban says Kamala Harris's camp reached out with multiple questions about crypto. Quote, I'm getting multiple questions from her camp about crypto, so I take that as a good sign. The feedback I'm getting, but certainly not confirmed by the VP, is that she will be far more open to business, artificial intelligence, crypto, and government as a service, end quote. So that's what Cuban said. Yeah, I'll believe it when I see it. And so that was reposted by Attorney James Murphy, aka Meta Lawman, as I cited at the outset of the video, of course, working with Attorney John Deaton on his Senate campaign. And Attorney Murphy wrote the following: a crypto pivot, ? Ignore what they say, watch what they do. This is really easy. Do they, number one, acknowledge and revoke Operation Choke Point 2.0? Number two, fire Gensler and appoint crypto industry veterans. 3, drop cases against Ripple, Coinbase, Kraken, Binance, Consensus, etc. Number 4, sign bill repealing SAB 121. 5, grant Custodia Bank a Fed master account. For starters. See, that's an excellent list right there. And he has an excellent point. So it just turns out, look, I don't think Brad Garlinghouse said anything crazy, and I'm a huge fan of him, obviously. But I am nowhere near as ready to believe that it's possible that there's something genuine here, because I haven't seen any evidence. All I've seen is everything to the contrary in the administration that Kamala's in. So I just look, I'll believe it when I see it. I want to see it. I'll believe it when I see it. It doesn't exist currently. That's all I'm saying. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.